Welcome back to our study on Hope for the Generations. This week we're going to be talking about friendships. You know, God created us to be in a relationship. He didn't create us to be alone. And the first relationship that we need to get right is our relationship with God. When we embrace the gift that He offers us through His death and resurrection, we are able to have a restored relationship with Jesus. And once we get that relationship right, we need to think about other relationships in our life. Now, some of us might have many friends in our lives. Some of us might be blessed to have good friends, like I'm blessed to have Mary as a friend of mine. But not all of us have the same types of friendships in our life. Some of us are people who desire many friendships. Some have just very few relationships, few friendships.
Really deep.
They are, yeah. And so we need to feel okay about that. We need to know that God uses friendships in our lives, and we need to pursue people because the Lord does talk about friendships in the Bible, and they are important. He wants us to have relationships with others. As women of hope, our friendships should look different from the culture around us. In fact, in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 10, it says, "Love each other with genuine affection, and take delight in honoring each other." This is where we get to bear fruit in our friendships. So we're going to talk about a few characteristics of friendships that we want to have, and these characteristics are going to allow us to pass on hope to future generations. These are things we want to model to other people to let them know that our source and our hope and our strength is in Jesus. So one of the first elements is sacrifice, being sacrificial in our friendships. I know for you, Mary, you have a situation or had a situation in which a friend was very sacrificial.
Oh, my goodness. My mom passed away about 5 years ago. And when she was in the hospital, quite often, I was there for hours alone with her. And one day, my friend just showed up and sat with me for probably 3 hours. And it was a smelly place, not a place with a lot of hope, not a lot of laughter. It was a hard time in my life. And my friend came and sat with me and talked with me and tried to give me hope in that situation. And I'll never forget those moments with her because that probably wasn't something she really wanted to do. I'm sure she had better options that she could have chosen to do at that time, but she chose to make our friendship a priority. And it just, I'll never forget that. And I hope I can do that. She was a great example of doing that for someone else.
Yeah. You know, I know you're probably not going to want me to share this story, but I'm going to anyways, because you just reminded me of how you're passing on what you've learned in your friendships with other people. Because when my mom was in the hospital recently, I recall you driving over an hour to come bring me a book and and a granola bar, and how much that meant to me. Yeah.
It's pretty cool that we can learn from each other, and that certainly wasn't my idea of fun for my friend to come and sit with me, but then I knew when you were in the hospital that it would bring you comfort.
Yeah, and it did, and that was sacrificial, and you were able to bear fruit in our friendship.
Yay!
Which was awesome. So, you know, that's part of the joy of finding really what drives our friendships. You know, our friendships could be for our own desire, for our own benefit.
Right.
But we know that ultimately God wants us to have friendships, and He does that not just for us.
No.
He does that for the other person in mind as well. Being sacrificial in any relationship is difficult.
Right.
But it is an important element of friendships. Another element is transparency. Just being real with the person that you're in a relationship with, not pretending to be something that you're not. And speaking the truth in love is something that's super essential. Not always easy to do, right? No. Speaking honest truth to somebody that comes straight from the Bible, from principles that God wants us to have in our relationships. We hear in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 6, "Wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy." We need to be able to speak the truth in love in our friendships. And loyalty. Loyalty is essential for biblical friendships. In Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17, it says, "A friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need." Now, some of us might be blessed with really great friendships. I feel very blessed to have you as a friend. And I have many others in my world that I would consider friends who would speak the truth in love to me, who might be sacrificial and loyal. And those are all great qualities. But the reality is not all of us have these deep, close friendships.
Right.
Have you ever considered how our friendships with women can be challenging?
Yes, friendships with women can be brutal. I've been hurt. I'm sure you have, and everyone can think of a time in their life when they had their hope maybe in a friendship or in a person, and that person let you down. And it's crushing and sobering, and you realize, wow, maybe I gave that person too much priority or too much influence in my life, and my hope was there. Another example of misplaced hope, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that we, as women of hope, we have to be willing to do the hard things in relationships. If we want our friendships to really bear fruit, then we have to be intentional.
God wants us to have biblical friendships, and we've learned a little bit today about what those biblical friendships include, and that God, I think He uses friends to challenge us and to change us. And,
Absolutely.
I hope that our friendship makes each of us look more like God as time goes on. We all need people who are willing to sacrifice their time, their money, their possessions to help us, and loyal friends. Transparency, to have a friend that is willing to just be real and tell you what's happening without all the facades is a precious thing.
It is.
Yeah. We also learn in our friendships to speak the truth in love. And for some people it's easy to speak truth, but can you do it in love? And that's where the godly friendship probably comes in, learning to speak the truth in love. And it's not all about just what we can get from our friendships, right? I mean, I love all those things about friendships, but am I going to be willing to be that to someone else?
Right.
I think that's where God works and changes my heart so that I can offer those qualities of friendships to someone else.
That's right. That's really where we pass on our hope to the next generation, that we learn to incorporate these characteristics into who we are and into our friendships that we have. And with that, we really can be intentional in our friendships as we pass on this hope that we have in Jesus.